Hi everybody, welcome. Today is going to be a really grounding, soothing class where we're going to focus a lot more on breath than usual, and we're going to work on releasing tension in the neck and waking up more awareness in the feet. If you have a blanket nearby, we're not going to use it just yet, but it'll be nice to have it ready for you. So my blanket's a little longer than usual so that it's easy to roll it up to keep it quite thin. So I started from yoga blanket home base, and then I actually unfolded it so it was a little extra wide, and then I rolled it. So take your time getting that sorted, and then it can just be off to the side of your mat. And then turn to your left, so the right side of your body is closest to the screen. Make your way onto your belly. Extend the legs behind you, cross the hands, elbows nice and wide, and bring the forehead to the hands. And if this isn't comfortable on the chest or the belly, the blanket can actually be kind of nice. If you prop your hips up a little bit, it just gives your chest and belly more space. So feel free to experiment with the blanket. You definitely want to be as comfortable as possible. This is sort of our opportunity to release and connect. So please find a way to make this comfortable for you. And just start to notice the weight of your body on your yoga mat. Start to tune in to your breath flow. And at first, it might be really easy to notice the front side of the body pressing against the earth as you inhale. Let's bring some extra awareness to the back of the ribs and even below, more low back area, and see if you can direct the breath to these areas that are often forgotten. And just notice the gentle rise and fall of the back body. Notice how your spine subtly changes shape as you inhale and exhale. And you don't have to make anything happen, but just notice how the spine adapts to the expanding rib cage, the diaphragm pushing down and then coming back up. And there are going to be a few poses today where we inhale in times you might be used to exhaling, and we're going to use the inhale to really trace the back of the rib cage, follow the pathway of the spine all the way down to the low back. A lot of times we use our inhales to really arch the back and open the heart a lot. And we're going to try to use our inhales to really find space in the low back. And so as we explore here in this very focused way without any movement, just notice the sense of buoyancy that the inhale provides. And this energy of expanding and opening and maybe even feeling light. And then let's shift our focus to the exhalation. And just notice how the body softens and even melts as you naturally exhale. Maybe there's a sense of being able to contact the earth more fully at the bottom of your exhale, as if you were turning into a pool. And though the body may be softening, see if you can feel how the body connects on the exhale. As it empties out, the fibers around the center tighten, uniting the upper body and the lower body, letting the limbs feel a little more supported. We'll just take a couple more breaths like this. And then give yourself the opportunity to release the inhale and exhale and just be completely natural. Try not to change anything and just feel your body resting on the earth as you breathe. If you are following along with the playlist, you can hit play on the first track. Peaceful air. And so start to walk the hands out to the side and actually stretch them out to a big T so they extend to the left and right. And then gently bring them in a few inches so the elbows softly bend. So the hands are just ahead of the shoulders. You've got a lot of space in the elbows. And just start to play with dragging the hands back without actually moving them. And as you do that, notice the sensation in the shoulders. Notice the sense of the shoulders drawing down the rib cage. Notice the space that's created in the neck when the shoulders slide down the rib cage. And the next time the shoulders slide down, see if you can gently pinch the shoulders towards one another without extending the spine. So nothing changes in the low back. And we're doing something we don't do a lot in my yoga classes, actually. We're isolating a muscle. We're working on turning on the mid and low trapezius. This is a part of the trapezius muscle that often lies dormant, and it's going to help us. We're going to be lifting our arms a lot, and we need the help of this muscle. So this isolation is going to benefit us, I promise. And you can continue to work in this way. I'm going to give another option that might not be for everyone, so just honor yourself. If keeping the elbows bent here feels better, stick to that. If you'd like to try keeping the arms out at a T and lifting the hands and doing the same thing, squeezing the shoulders together and making sure it's not coming from the spine. A lot of times that's an indication that we're overcompensating with other muscles. So the hands float and the shoulders just gently squeeze. You should feel it between the shoulders and towards the mid to low back, not in the neck at all. And then the next time you lift, if that's feeling good, pause there, take a couple of breaths. And then set the hands down, extend the left arm overhead, and gently push into the right arm. So you roll onto the left side, should be facing the screen. Great. And just gently start to rock forward and back. And it can be a little bit, it can be a lot, whatever feels enjoyable in the body. two things are happening here. We're getting a nice massage on the lateral line of the body. And we're also going to start paying lots of attention to the sensations coming into the body. So you can start at the feet, just noticing the pressure as the feet roll forward and back. And on your own time, just scan your way up from the feet all the way eventually to that left hand. And just noticing the areas that feel really good. Maybe you find some areas that feel really tight. You can pay some extra attention there. It's fine to close the eyes. And as the body adapts here, feel free to make little movements, changing where your arm is, changing where your head is, whatever helps you really relax. Imagine you're paying $100 for a massage right now. You really want it to feel good, right? So take those little liberties and see if you can find a way to enjoy this even more. And the next time you're equally balanced between front and back, pause. If you haven't made it to your hand, we can just take a couple of breaths and let everyone catch up. And then bend the knees a little bit. Reach the right arm overhead and gently start to bend the elbows, bringing them towards the knees. So kind of like a sideways crunch. And then extend everything back out as if you were about to dive into water. And just take a couple of these. I call these protozoa pulses because I feel like a single-celled organism just pulsating in my own little world. And just start to notice the limbs incorporating into the core. And you don't have to move in a dramatic way. It could be really tiny, whatever feels best for you. The next time everything bends, pause there. Rest your head on your bottom arm. And then line your heels up with your hips. So you're not going to be able to see your heels. So that is a lofty goal, isn't it? Place your hand on your top hip. And place your hand on your bum because we're going to be isolating the glute muscle. Wow, we're doing a lot of isolation today. Start to squeeze the glute, and you should actually feel the muscle under your hand tighten. There's other muscles that we can use to avoid the glute here, and we don't want that to happen. So by placing your hand on the glute, hopefully that helps you really squeeze your bum a little bit, and your leg might not go very high. I know that when I first learned to do this, I wanted my leg to go really high, and so I used a lot of other muscles, and that did not benefit my hip. So be humble. We say, stay humble in the hips a lot in our yoga training. And just start to feel that sense of support through the back of the hip. We're going to be working on our feet a lot. We're actually going to be connecting the glutes down into the feet. And so it's nice to just get them firing up for us now. And the next time you lift, if you want to pause there for a moment and just have a natural breath flow, and then release the leg down and slowly lengthen everything back out, coming to the belly. And we're going to do that same thing on the second side, starting with the side body rolling. Ooh, and actually just for fun, let's go back to our shoulder exercise. So drag the hands back so they're just ahead of the shoulders, elbows are nicely bent, and then keep your hands, fingertips anchored, keep dragging, and just feel that activation around the shoulders, pulling the shoulders down and towards each other, because the trapezius muscle is diamond shaped, so it's going to pull them at an angle. Option on this second round, push down into the pubic bone so the pelvis stays anchored, and then see if you can reach the heart forward and up. If that's going well, try hovering the hands, and just see if hovering the hands, if you can still activate those same muscles, but you're putting a little higher load on them, so it's a little bit harder. And then just take a couple of pulses. Check in with the breath. You can sync the movement to the breath. Usually people inhale up and exhale down. I'm going to actually encourage you to play with exhaling up. And then inhaling to feel the low back expand. The next time you lift, reach the right arm overhead, push into the left hand, roll on the right side. I know you're facing away from me, but we're doing all the same stuff, so hopefully it's not too confusing. Place the left hand in front of you, and we'll just start with those side body rocks. So just a little bit of movement forward and back. And then just sinking into the sensations in the body, starting down at the feet and taking your time tracing the pathway up and just noticing the pressure, noticing the gentle spinal rotation, and of course making any little adjustments, bending the knees or bending the elbow. If you find an area that really is benefiting from this pressure, an area where you might hold some tightness, stay there and try some littler rocks or some bigger rocks and see how the body responds. And then we'll just take 20 more seconds. So you can always pause or speed up or slow down. And then bend the knees. Reach the left arm overhead, and we'll go into our protozoa pulses. So elbows and knees bend, hugging towards one another, kind of fetal position, and then lengthen everything out. And just because we're doing our interesting breath exercises today, let's try inhaling as we crunch and feel the back of the body open. And then exhale as you lengthen out, feeling the whole body stretch, but staying taut at the center. And of course, if this doesn't feel natural to you, you can breathe any way that feels supportive. There is no right or wrong, but I've just been really exploring and enjoying some of these alternate breath patterns. And the next time everything bends, rest your head on the bottom arm in whatever way is comfortable. Place your hand on your bum and line the heels up with the hips. That takes good proprioception, right? Because you can't see it, so you just have to feel it. And now squeeze the top glute and allow that squeezing to lift the knee any amount, keeping the soles of the feet, or the sides of the feet rather, together. So these are called clamshells in physical therapy because it's just like opening a seashell. And be patient with yourself. Sometimes poking the glute can help. So if you're having trouble feeling it there, giving yourself some feedback. And just make sure you're not creating any tension in the front of the hip or the top of the hip. All of the work should be coming from the back of the hip. And the next time you lift, if you'd like, you can pause and observe a breath flow. And then set that leg down, extend the legs out, slowly roll onto the belly. And stack the hands for one last moment before we really get moving. Okay. Drag the hands back in line with the shoulders, but a little closer in so it's easy to push back. Push into the hands to slowly lift the body and then send the hips don't send them all the way back. Tuck the toes under and pause in tabletop. Walk the hands underneath the shoulders and now start to push into the hands to send the hips back, and just notice how this increases the stretch sensation in the feet. Push into the feet to send the hips forward and just take a couple of pulses like this. So push into the hands to send hips back, push into the feet to send hips forward. Kind of like a little tug of war happening in your body. Start to connect with your breath flow as you do this. And again, there's no right or wrong, so you can just sync it with your breath whatever way feels natural. And the next time the hips come back towards the heels, walk the hands in a little bit more and then push into the feet to send the hips forward. But now let's make some circles with the hips. And as you circle the hips so they go to one side forward, other side back, notice the sensation in the feet. Yeah, so keep the toes tucked under as long as that's comfortable. You know, if you have plantar fascia issues and this feels too intense, walk the hands forward a little bit more, and that's going to take the stretch a little bit out of the feet. But if it's comfortable, we really want to explore the bottoms of the feet here in this extended position. And then flatten the feet, send the hips to the heels, melt forward for just a moment. Notice the sensation in the feet. Maybe there's some tingling or new awareness. And gently start to push down into the shins. Keep the pelvis heavy and just stack one vertebra at a time, which can mean you have to move extra slow. We are going to be kneeling for a moment, so if this is uncomfortable on your feet, you can grab a block and place it underneath the sits bones. So the block would just go between the feet like a little seat. And then allow the knees to come nice and wide so you've got a bigger base of support. So the knees are wider than the feet, hands to the thighs. And let's gently start to rotate the spine. And notice how your core has to naturally support you here so you don't fall over, right? So you might just feel like a little bit more brightening at your center, not because you're doing a crunch, not because you're forcing anything, but because your body's very smart and it's supporting you. And let's circle the other way and bring our awareness to the breath. Try inhaling forward. Notice how that helps you bring some extra awareness to the back of the rib cage and the low back. And then as you exhale towards the back of the circle, just notice that sense of integration without tightening. And just one more circle. And then pause at center. Give yourself a big hug and slowly start to roll forward. Again, take a breath through the back of the rib cage down into the low back. And then as you exhale, push down into the shins. Slowly lift the hip, rising up to kneeling. And let the arms open just like we did on our belly, right? So that W, I'll turn so you can see it. And see if you can feel those muscles around the shoulders pulling down and in towards the spine, right? So those same muscles without arching the back too much, or at all actually. And then we're going to go between those two shapes. So send the hips back like a kneeling chair. Give yourself a big hug. Inhale. And then exhale, push down into the shins. Keep everything connected. And we're just coming to neutral, not coming to a back bend. Allow the mid-trapezius to fire to draw those shoulders together. And now take a couple on your own. And as you come up on that exhale, see if you can have a sense of the quadriceps lengthening. Right? Sometimes we get all of the extension in the spine. We really want the extension to come through the whole front of the body. And the next time you rise up, pause there, move your block out of the way. If you needed a block, keep it nearby for later. And let's play with those same arms that we did before. So bring the arms out to a true T. This time flip the palms so the thumbs are facing behind you. And just gently press the thumbs back and see if that can help you get a little more activation without arching the back. And just take a couple of pulses there. And the next time the hands come back, stay there. Send the hips back like your chair pose and gently reach the arms overhead, and that's going to change where you're feeling it in the low back. Maybe you can even feel the arms connecting all the way down towards the bottom of the thoracic vertebra. And take a couple of pulses there. And the next time you come up, shift the weight into the right and step the left foot in front of you. Drop the arms, they're probably tired. And watch the left foot as you heel toe the foot to the right and then back to the left. And heel toe is something we really take for granted. We're going to do this a few times because it's actually quite an intelligent movement of the foot. And so notice as you heel toe how the ankle pivots, how the knee responds. We're going to be playing with a lot of standing poses today. And to keep our knees happy, we're going to want the foot to lead the way, allowing the knee to follow, allowing the hips to follow. So just start to allow that to happen here. Notice the arch of the foot. Notice the sense of the center of the ankle staying balanced over the heel. The next time the knees towards the or the foot is towards the center of the mat, gently release forward and find a comfortable position so the foot can walk forward a little bit or it can stay nice and short, and just bend that front knee and extend a couple times. So if you were in teacher training today, this is our flossing of the retinaculum. And so just notice that crease in the ankle and then the extension of the ankle as we help the tendons and muscles slide under the band of fascia that wraps around the ankle. And the next time the hips are sent back, scooch the front foot closer to the back knee so you're in a short 90-90 leg position. And then let's just take some twists to the left. So place the fingers together like Montgomery Burns and push all the fingers together so you can just feel the shoulders integrate down into the back, and then just twist to the left. And pay extra attention to that left foot. So as you twist, keep the, come in and out of the twist. Sync the twist with your breath. Choose whether you want to inhale to twist or exhale. It's up to you. And so keep the big toe anchoring down. And as you twist to the left, notice any sense of the left glutes firing, just like they did in those clamshells, right? There's a spiral that wraps around the leg, and we're really going to try to integrate that spiral of support into our poses. The next time you twist, pause there. Take a couple of breaths. Make sure you feel supported. If you're too deep into the twist, it might feel like you can't breathe. Come out of it a little bit. Okay, and then tuck the back toes under, wind up a little bit more so you're almost like crunching into that front leg. Hover the back knee and then push into the front foot to slowly stand up as you turn to the right. Cool. And it looks like your guys' stances were a little longer than mine, and because we're going to do that a few times, I just want to make sure everyone's body stays happy. So let's narrow our stances and then try it again. And you don't have to come all the way down because that can be a lot. Yeah, that looks really good. Yeah, Davey, that like 90-90, so less of a lunge. And then just take a couple of pivots. Yeah, nice. Does that feel okay? Cool. And so as you pivot here, remember, we're letting the feet lead the way. My knees get upset if my feet don't lead the way, and I don't want anyone's knees to get upset. So the feet turn, the knees follow, the hips follow, we crouch, and then we power into the feet to come to center, and the arms can drop because it kind of feels like a relief when you do that, and then they come back together on the twist. So we're just taking a couple of pulses. Nice, yes, you guys are really good at this. Cool. And the next time you come up to center, just pause. We did a lot of really nice work on that left leg. So from this wide Tadasana, just notice any sensations, the left side of the body. And now we'll balance it all out on the right side. So bring the hands together and actually pivot the other way. I know the right leg's not warmed up, so we will get there in just a moment. Slowly start to spiral to the right. check in with the knees. And as it's comfortable, lower that back knee down. Nice. And then release the hands down and bring the right knee to meet the left. So you're in tabletop. And you can just back up a little bit on your mat so you're more towards the center. And then keep the toes tucked under, push the hips back to the heels, and let's just start with those nice circles that we took around the feet. And if your body wants more, you can always make bigger circles. You can play with hovering the knees, so that changes, that really ups the ante. You don't have to do that. And then let's come to center, flatten the tops of the feet, send the hips to the heels, and give yourself a big hug, breathing into the low back. And then exhale, push down, high kneel, letting the arms open. And then kneeling chair with a hug, and pulse up. And just take a couple more pulses like that, inhaling down and exhaling up. And just noticing how that, I call it backwards breath, how that's going for you, if you're feeling any new connections. And the next time you come up, step the right foot in front, and then release the arms down and play with those heel toes on the other side. And actually, I find it hard to balance here, so if you need a little help balancing, you can reach the arms down and wide and like energize through the fingers, and that can really help. Yeah. Let the heel toes happen as slowly as they need to really be able to feel the articulation in the ankle and in the knee. And then the next time the foot comes to center, you can release the hands down, scooch the foot forward any amount that just makes it feel more comfortable for your body to be forward, and then bend into the front knee and extend the front knee. Pay particular attention to the right ankle. And we don't want to strain here. We just want to allow everything to glide really nicely. And try to anchor that big toe down. And you can even make some circles here. And as you circle with the big toe down, you might notice how the medial arch of the foot can engage a little bit more naturally. Maybe you start to feel the right glute turning on. And then inch the right foot back so it's right under the knee. So you're in that 90-90 lunge. You can come up to standing, tuck the back toes under, bring the hands together, and just take a few twists to the right and back to neutral. And when you're in the twist, try pushing into the right foot to send you back to neutral. So there's a sense of the leg and the foot really leading the way. Nice. Yeah, it looks really springy when you do that. That's awesome. So the next time you twist a little bit extra and feel the strength on the right side of the body. You've got a lot of strong muscles in that spiral line of the body, and it's going to support us as we lift the back knee and then power into the feet, pivoting all 10 toes to the left, and the arms can drop. And then let's try that a few times. Feet lead the way, right? So toes turn to the right, bend the knees, melting towards the right, and then powering into the feet, coming to center. And just move at your own pace, really trying to feel comfortable with that pathway, feeling the feet support you, noticing how the spiral starts to feel more natural, where you're like, oh, there it is. And the next time you unspiral, woohoo, we're balanced. And so just pause for a moment, and in this wide Tadasana, feel the connection of the feet. Bend the knees a little bit, the pelvis be heavy. And we're going to do some really nice foot stretches that maybe I've never done before, but they've been changing my life. So allow the outside of the right foot to start to roll under, where you're almost like, is this allowed? We do, yes. We have very tight muscles, a lot of us, the fibulae that run along the outside of the foot and down under the ankle. And this is just a really nice way to stretch them. So just start to gently circle the hips. And this should be really gentle, right? We don't want any pain, don't want it to feel like we're forcing anything. So the circles can be really small. Nice. And just notice how the circles change the sensations on that outside of the right foot. I like both of your faces are kind of like, this is, I don't know, I can't read your mind, but it seems like this is interesting. Yeah, okay, I read your mind. And now we're going to make it even more interesting. Bend the right knee, and because of the angle of the foot, you don't want to bend too deeply. Make sure your knee feels supported, and then just keep circling. And with the knee bent, it just changes the stretch on that right foot. You can always keep the legs straight if that feels more comfortable. And then bring the sole of the right foot down, march in place a little bit, and then pause and just notice the sensation of the outer right foot contacting the mat, and just be with that. And we'll play with that on the second side. So step the feet just a little bit wider than the hips, not Prasarita Padottanasana, just a wide Tadasana. Gently start to roll on the outside of that left foot. And you can take a couple of rolls just saying hello. Like, these literally might be muscles that you're like, I've never stretched that muscle before. Unless I rolled my ankle, and I didn't think that was a good thing, right? And so then when you find the place that feels safe and you're ready to explore, we'll just start with gentle hip circles. And just noticing how those hip circles affect the outside of the left leg. You can always shorten your stance if that helps you feel a little safer as you put a little bit of weight on this stretch. There might be asymmetry between sides. That's totally fine. And then bend the left knee and continue with your circles. Just make sure everything's sliding and there's no pressure in the knee. One more circle. And then flatten the foot and just pause, march the feet out. And just notice any sensations in the sole of the feet. I always have the sense of like, wow, my outer feet have like never touched the earth before after I do that. I don't know if you guys have that same impact. Okay, so now hopefully we're nice and warm and ready to move a little bit more. If you're following along with the playlist, you can go to the next track. And feel free to grab a sip of water, because if I need one, maybe you need one too. Oh, I'm back. Yeah. Okay, so sorry about that. So we're in a wide straddle. Thank you, Deanna. Circle the arms overhead and then bend the left knee, starting to circle to the left. And as you go through center, switch so the right knee bends. and then complete the circle. So whatever way you're circling towards, that knee is going to bend, and then it'll swap as you cross the midline. And just start to notice how the upper body is connecting to the core and to the legs. And notice how the shifting of the weight and the feet and the bending of the knees allows the upper body to move more fluidly. The next time you make it to the top, circle the other way. Start to connect with the breath flow. Inhaling as you circle down, see if you can connect with the back of the ribs and the low back. And then exhaling, almost like stretching your core as you reach up. The next time you reach up, pause there, turn the feet out, and start to bend the knees for a goddess pose. Float the arms to the horizon and take a couple of pulses in the legs. And as you do that, give yourself permission to separate the feet until you find the most comfortable goddess. And now imagine your arms are like the wings of a bird. And as you push the arms down, you float up just an inch. And then allow the arms to open and the hips to sink. And so just take a couple of pulses here. And check in with the knees. Keep the angle of the thighs the same as the angle of the feet. And start to root into the big toe, just like we talked about a little bit. As you root into the big toe, squeeze the glutes a little bit and see if there's that sense of spiraling that we found in our lunges earlier. It's going to create a little extra space on the inside of the knees, and that's what we want. And the next time you push down and rise out of it, pause and just notice any sense of support rising up through the arches into the core. And then continue with the pulses. And then pause, turn the feet to the right. So the right foot turns out a lot. The left foot just comes in a little. Virabhadrasana 2. Yeah, great. You guys look great. And now same exact thing where you push down to come out of it a little bit. And then as you sink, the arms float. Just take a couple of pulses here, and you don't have to go very high or very low, but try to feel as you come out of it that sense of drawing energy up through the feet into the core. Nice. And the next time you come into it, pause, drop the arms. Just take one nice shoulder circle as you gently extend the right leg, but you want to keep the muscles in the right leg on. Bring the hands to the hips and just bend the knee just a touch as you gently start to release the spine to the right. And then push into the right foot, coming back up. And we'll just take a couple of pulses like this, warming up the legs for Trikonasana and really trying to feel that connection between the foot pushing, the energy drawing the body back up, connecting the legs into the core. And the next time you come into it, pause, release the bottom arm down, stretch the top arm up, take a couple of breaths. And if it feels comfortable, on your next exhale, try floating the bottom arm. And again, notice how that connects your body into the core, legs into the core. Inhale to release the hand down, exhale to float. And the next time the arm floats, pause there. Turn all 10 toes to the side. Bend the left knee and go right into one of those circles that we did before. And we'll all meet at the top. And let the arms just melt down, giving the shoulders a little break. Soften the knees and slowly start to lengthen through the back of the body. And then push into the feet and let the sits bones drop so the hamstrings pull on the back of the pelvis, helping you slowly roll up one vertebra at a time. And then we'll do that same sequence on the second side. So heels in, knees out, take a couple of little test bounces in your goddess, and then adjust the feet, right? So if there's pressure on the inside of the knees, try turning the toes forward a little bit, and then anchor into the big toe and spiral the legs by squeezing the glutes a little bit or externally rotating the thighs, whatever works for you. And then when you're ready to add the arms in, the arms swoop down to pull you out, and then they let go to release into it. And just start, again, noticing the connection up through the arches, deep into the calf, inner thigh, all the way into the core. Now you can pause for a moment in Goddess, and then we'll turn the feet to the left. This is my favorite way to get into Virabhadrasana too. It's like magic. You're just like there and so powerful. And now we'll take those same pulses, right? So pushing down into the arms, you get to float, gliding on an air current, and then just coming in and out with ease. Can play with inhaling down and exhaling up. As you exhale, the diaphragm lifts, and there can really be the sensation of the rib cage floating. And the next time you come into your Vira 2, pause for a moment, and then slowly extend the leg, drop the arms, take a breath to prepare. And then soften the left knee and slowly start to tip the pelvis over to the left. Let the left arm slide down and push into the left foot. So there's really a sense of the left leg participating a lot here. You might even feel like it's harder to tip because the left leg's pushing down so much. And then reach the right arm up. And if it feels comfortable on your next exhale, float the left arm and inhale down. Float the left arm. And sometimes as I float and these deeper muscles turn on, I actually want to shorten my stance. So give yourself that permission if you're feeling that inkling as well. And the next time you float, pause there. And then push into the left foot. Big circle, just like we did before, this time going to the right. And reach up to center. We'll do one more thing before we go back to the beginning. So let's pivot our feet to the right, just like we did before, coming into our twist. But let the right leg, the right arm swing back instead of keeping it connected. And then power into the right foot, coming back to center. Nice. And then turn the other way. So pivot the feet to the left, bend the knees, let the left arm swing. And now play from side to side like this. Remember, feet lead the way. You guys look like amazing, like Greek statues. I love it. And the next time you go to the right, pause there. Take a little bounce, right? So you start to feel this springiness in the legs. And if you want, you can shift the weight forward into a modified Vira 3. And then drop the back foot, power into the legs back to center, and same thing, right? So we pivot, we bounce, maybe we float. And once you've got the hang of it, go at your own pace and just make sure you're breathing. So you don't have to sync your breath with the movement, but you do just want to make sure you have a continuously smooth breath and you're not holding. That usually means you're going a little too far. We all do it, but we don't need to. And the next time you're balancing over the right foot, pause and gently kick into the right leg, slowly extending upward. Bring the left foot to the calf for a low tree, and then bring the arms into the arms we've been playing with. Big W, dragging the hands on an invisible wall so the shoulder blades anchor down into the spine. Just feel the warmth in the right leg. Feel the heart beating. And then bend the right knee, float the left. Right hand swings back, left arm reaches forward, back into our running man, flying warrior. And then set the back toes down, pivot through center, and we'll just do that on the second side. So pivot over to the left, take a couple of bounces. When you're ready, you can float. I like keeping all my limbs bent here. And then extend into the front leg. Open the arms to W and plant the right foot. Nice. Take a couple of breaths. If you want to be a little dramatic here, drag the hands down, letting the heart lift slightly. And then hover the right knee. Slowly extend the right leg back. Release the hands down inside of the left foot and kick the left foot back to a plank. And I found after doing this sequence, my plank feels really strong. Do you guys feel that? So feel free to stay here as long as it feels like easy and buoyant. Otherwise, drop the knees, and we will be meeting in Bhaktasana, so you can beat us there if you want. But I've been enjoying just feeling that integrated strength. Make sure you can breathe. And then drop the knees, send the hips back to the heels. Take a moment to melt the forehead. And before we begin that sequence again, we're just going to add a waving vinyasa. So if you already know how to do that, go for it. Otherwise, I'll talk you through it. Press down into the shins, slowly arching the spine up into the air like a cat pose. And then roll the weight forward over the shoulders, staying in cat, but then pull on the mat so the front of the body starts to lengthen for an extended cow pose, but no effort in the low back. And then push the hips back to the heels. We'll do that 2 more times. So it starts by pushing down into the legs, rolling forward. Can do this on an inhale down into the low back, just like we've been practicing. Once the shoulders make it over the wrists, exhale so the front of the body stays connected as you pull and lengthen. And you don't have to lower your hips very much here, right? Just think more cow, less up dog. You can take the last one on your own. I just want to watch you guys. So nice. Yeah, Davey, that looks awesome. All right, the next time the hips come back to the heels, push down into the shins to slowly roll up to seated on the heels. Bring the knees wide. If you need your block, you can place it underneath the hips. And the first time we did this, we had the hands on the thighs. You're welcome to place the hands on the thighs. Otherwise, you can float the arms with all the work that we've been doing for the trapezius. So imaginary wall in front of you, drag the hands down, feel the shoulders connecting. And now slowly start to circle in one direction. You're welcome to play with inhaling forward to fill the back of the body, bringing more awareness to the lumbar vertebrae. I find that inhaling forward helps prevent me from hyperextending on my back bend. And then change directions. And the next time you're at center, give yourself a big hug. Breathe into the low back and push down into the shins to slowly rise up. Exhale, float the arms to a big W. This time you can add in a little back extension if you want. And then inhale forward. Exhale to roll up. On the second one, step the left foot forward, and we're actually going to do the same thing in our lunge. So inhale, give yourself a big hug around your thigh. And then exhale, push into the front foot, slowly rising up to our little back bend. Just do one more of those. Inhaling down, filling the back of the ribs. Exhale, staying connected as we open up. This time, stay upward. Tuck the toes under. 2 options. You can press the hands together if that helped you with stability, or you can swing the left arm back. Whichever you like more. We'll twist to the left, hover the back knee, and then power into the left foot as we pivot and lift the arms at the same time. Let's add one more of those just to build a little energy. Actually, a couple more. Let's do a few. I really like these. Yeah, and you guys are so good at them. And the next time you're up, let the toes come out, bend the knees coming into your goddess squat, and take a couple of pulses here so that you can adjust the legs until you find that really buoyant place where the knees feel supported, the pelvis feels light. Turn the toes to the right for Virabhadrasana 2. Just take one pulse. Then we'll start to add all the pieces together. The next time you sink into Vira 2, release the hands down, extend the right leg, and slowly melt over the right leg, making sure you're breathing. Lift the top arm, and with your next exhale, hover the bottom arm. This time, push into the bottom leg, slowly rising up, and then bend into that knee and hinge towards the right, taking your Trikonasana into Atthita Parshva Konasana. Inhale, float the bottom arm down, and exhale to lift it up. We'll take a few pulses there, just noticing how when you hover that bottom arm, what brightens in the core, what brightens in the inner thigh all the way down to the inner arch of the foot. And the next time the arm hovers, pause there, shift the weight towards the right, coming onto the back toes, and bounce the left foot until you can square the hips down. The next time you bounce, let the right arm swing so you're in your flying man, I guess. Pause there, and then push into the right foot, coming up into tree pose. So we're just combining those two sequences. Nice. And then bend the right knee, start to step the left foot back. Power into the feet as you pivot to the left towards center, and then slowly drop the hands to the hips, bend the knees, melt forward, just preparing to go to the other side. Push down into the feet, slowly rising up. And then toes out, slowly bend into your goddess. Add the arms in if you want. And then turn the feet the other way, taking a pulse in Vira 2, letting the feet adjust. Maybe they go a little further out. And then pause in Vira 2, drop the hands to the hips, extend the leg, and slowly melt over the left leg. And then reach the top arm up. Exhale, slowly float the bottom arm, and then push into the feet, rising up. Bend the knee, return into the hinge, drop the bottom arm, and we'll take 3 pulses, exhaling to lift and inhaling to lower. The next time the arms lift, pause there. Shift the weight into the left foot. You can scooch the right foot in a little, and then start to bounce until you can face the mat. And then as you're ready, the next time you bounce, the left arm can swing back, pause in your flying man, or extend the right arm and leg a little bit more if you want. Push down into the left foot. Make sure that left knee's bent for this transition up to tree, and let the arms melt down, shoulder blades connect towards the spine. Feel the heart beating, find your drishti. And then lift the right knee, reach the arms forward, bend the left knee until you can connect the right toes to the earth, and slowly pivot the feet to the right, and just pause for a moment. We're going to do that one more time on each side, but before we do that, let's just take a little counter pose. So soften the knees and slowly start to melt over the legs, any amount that's comfortable. Try bending your knees really deeply so that it's easy to place your hands on the earth, and just kick into one foot at a time, swaying from side to side. And then push into the feet, drop the sits bones, let the spine stack one vertebra at a time. And then just pause for a moment at the top before we repeat, and just feel sensations in the feet, knees, hips, spine. Now that you know everything that we're doing, Please feel free to add anything on if you feel inspired, or subtract anything that you don't like. I'll talk you through the same sequence, but this is sort of your time to play a little bit. So we'll start with goddess pose, toes out. Slowly bend the knees, hover the feet, take a couple of pulses, just finding that buoyancy, right? Noticing how as you push down into the legs, there really is a sense of drawing in and up and supporting the whole rest of the body. And then turn the feet to the right. Take a couple of pulses in Viratu. And then extend the legs, hands to hips, melt over the front leg, really pushing down into the legs, but keeping them soft and supple. Float the top arm. And then if you want to, exhale to hover that bottom arm. Push into the bottom foot, rising up again, feeling the deep core turning on. Slowly bend into the right knee. And then hinge over really by pushing into that left leg to lengthen as far forward as you can. Release the bottom arm and exhale. Each time you want to hover it, we'll take 3. And the next time the arm hovers, start to bounce on that back foot until you can pivot to face the short edge of the mat. And you can either swing the right arm back and pause with all the limbs bent, or because this is our last one, if you really want to extend the arms overhead and play with coming a little deeper into Virabhadrasana 3, just make sure you can breathe. Make sure there's no tension in that right hip. So bend and extend that leg a couple of times, staying really bouncy and buoyant. And then very slowly bend the right knee, touching the left toes down. Power into the right foot. Let's add in that nice big circle before we go to the other side. And then from center, squat into your goddess pose. We've been having the arms bent, but this is our last one. So if you want to bend the elbows and come a little bit deeper, you can play with lifting one toe at a time, or one heel at a time, both heels. And then set the heels down, turn the toes to the left, push the arms out. Feel free to pulse or just hold. You've earned the hold by now. And then drop the hands. Extend the legs, slowly melt down into Trikonasana with no strain. Float the top arm, and then option to float the bottom arm. Power into the feet to rise up, and now put those two poses together by bending into the front knee and push into the outer edge of that right foot, right? That edge that we stretch so much, feel it reaching away from you. And then lower the bottom arm and take 3 pulses. The next time you lift, pause, shift the weight into the left foot, take your bounces to recenter, and then any Vira 3 exploration that you want, but just make sure you can breathe. Make sure that even though you're warm, you're not creating strain, you're not tight or tense anywhere. And then whenever you're ready, you can drop the back toes, pivot the feet, and make your big circle. Ooh, that was a really big circle, Deanna. And let's make a couple of those, because it looks like you guys are really enjoying them. I know I am. Very therapeutic when you can really feel the support. And the next time you make it to the top, go the other way. And then slowly pivot the feet to the right, release the hands down, and step the right foot back. Feel free to hold your plank if it's feeling nice and supported, or we can meet in Bhaktasana. It's up to you. Just make sure you can breathe wherever you are. And let's all drop our knees. Nice planks, very good. Flatten the feet, press the hips back to the heels, melt down. We'll have another round of waving vinyasas, and you can do them in the exact same way with the knees down. Otherwise, I'll give the option to take it a little deeper if that feels supported. So push down into the shins, rolling the spine up, shoulders over wrists, and then pull on the mat, letting the heart reach forward. This time, if you want to lower the hips, you can, as long as you feel the length in the low back and there's no dumping and there's no pressure. If that's going well, option to tuck the toes under on the next round and lift the knees. Let's all push the hips back to the heels. And now, if you want to tuck the toes under to prepare for a deeper upward facing dog, you can. Push down into the toes, slowly rolling forward. Feel the front edge of the body sucking in to support the front of the spine. Shoulders over wrists, and then pull on the mat, letting the whole front of the body open. Option to hover the knees. You really don't want to feel this in the low back at all. All the support should be coming from the front of the body. So if you feel any tension there or compression, drop the knees right away and back out of the back bend. Slowly roll back to devotional pose. If you want to take one more on your own, you can, but you don't have to. Nice, beautiful. And then let's all send the hips back to the heels and push into one shin at a time. Just notice how that sends the body in the opposite direction, giving the forehead a massage, giving the forearms a little massage, also giving the shins a massage. And then push down into the shins, slowly rolling up one vertebra at a time. Give yourself a big hug, let the head drop, and just breathe. First into the back of the ribs, the space between the shoulders. And then down into the low back. And your next inhale, breathe into the low back as you slowly lift onto the knees. And then exhale, open the arms wide. And notice how extending the front of the body on the exhale really lends a sense of support and anchoring. And if you want to do that a couple more times, you're more than welcome. If there's anything else that the body's craving right now, you're welcome to skip this and do that. We are going to do one restorative thing right after this. And the next time you give yourself a hug, set the hips down and grab your blanket, cross it over the mat, and go forward 2 songs. What's the name of that? What is minor cause? So this is just a little more. Oh, actually 3. What's after that? Inner Sanctum. That's the one. Inner Sanctum's going to take us towards the final part of class. So bring the middle of the rib cage onto the blanket and lay down kind of like a bridge pose. And if it's, you don't want this to feel intense, I'm actually like, this is a little intense. So I'm just going to unroll my blanket a little bit so that basically, if it's intense, the body recoils a little bit, right? So if it feels like easy and gentle, then the body can go, And then bring those arms to that soft W that we've been playing with, and just gently start to windshield wiper the knees from side to side. Keep drawing the breath into the back of the rib cage as we've practiced through the whole class. And if this feels uncomfortable in any way, you can do the same thing without a blanket, or you can just unroll the blanket a little bit. I feel like I'm just discovering my rib cage. Like, I haven't done all this work before, and I really love it, but I know that I can also overdo it. So just honor your body if you're getting any, like, I'm not sure about this signals. The next time you roll towards the right, roll all the way onto the right side, support your head, and just take some gentle rolls forward and back, just like we did at the beginning of class. But notice the rib cage melting into the blanket, really trying to massage the muscles between each rib, the internal and external intercostal muscles. And you're, of course, welcome to roll as far back or as far forward as is comfortable. And then place the left palm in front of you and just draw a nice big circle overhead. And as the arm comes overhead and behind you, let the arm slowly pull you back onto your back. Take a windshield wiper at center and then send the knees to the left, rolling onto the left side, and just take some massages on the left side of the rib cage. And sometimes you don't even have to move very much, and the breath can really be what gives you the massage. So feel free to hold and just direct the breath towards the area contacting the blanket. And then right palm in front of your face and big circle overhead, and allow the right arm to slowly bring you into a twist, and then knees up to neutral. And we have time to do this one more time. So I recommend scooching up or down on your blanket so you can just get one other massage area. Feel free to move around until you find the spot that feels the most beneficial. And we just start with the windshield wipers. And just a warning, I feel like if I have it directly on my shoulder blade, sometimes it feels like it's gonna like push my shoulder out of the socket. So don't do that. Make sure you're in a place that really feels like you can relax. And then you know the drill now. So whenever you want to take it over to the right side, you can. And then circle the arm overhead, windshield wiper the legs to the left. And when you feel complete, you can circle the arm overhead and just pause for a moment at center. Bring the arms to a T and just melt over the blanket. If you want to play with extending the legs, you're welcome to. Kind of like a baby fish pose, a tadpole pose. I guess that's a baby frog, but it's a very tiny fish. And just take a couple of breaths here, and again, draw the inhale to the back of the heart, the lowest part of the ribs, maybe even the low back. And then to come up, bend the left knee, push into the sole of the left foot so you can roll onto the right side. Just gently press yourself up. We will have Shavasana, but first we'll just have a little bit of meditation. So you can pause your music, grab a blanket, grab a cushion, whatever you like. Feel free to grab a sip of water. And once you've found your seat, and just take a moment to let the legs and pelvis get heavy. Close the eyes or gaze at a single point. And bring your awareness to your breath. Notice your ability to feel the back of the breath after all that extra work that we did. And just notice any sense of the head floating over the shoulders. The trapezius work and the deep core work we did can really allow tension to melt out of the neck and jaw, shoulders. Let yourself be soft, so soft that it is actually okay if you don't have the most perfect tall spine. And we'll work with the Hamsa mantra just to keep us attuned to our breath. So each inhale, repeat the syllable hum and let it be really natural. You don't have to direct the breath anywhere. Let it be just as natural as watching your heart beat. And each exhale, attach the syllable sa. Let the space behind the eyes soften. Let the tongue soften. And feel your attention sinking very deep inside. We did a lot of work in our practice to find support and buoyancy. Just notice now in your meditation seat as the body starts to dissolve away any sense of these deeper layers of your being, feeling buoyant, feeling lighter and freer. And for the last couple of minutes, as you continue with this practice of the breath mantra, just allow the body to dissolve and allow this deeper place to be lighter and freer with each breath. And you're welcome to stay upright and continue with this meditation practice. You're also welcome to make your way onto your back so you can just relax completely and keep merging with this inner sense of buoyancy and brightness. Mm. Take your time connecting with your breath and any gentle movements. Eventually make your way to seated, and we'll all meet with hands at the heart. Just feeling the intersection between our physical body via our hands and our energetic body via our heart. And just allow the breath to help those two realms merge. Thank you so much for sharing your practice. Namaste. So good to see you, Ya Devi. It's been a while. I can't wait to start the flow training with you this week.
Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing you on Thursday.
Yay. Have a great week until then. And great to see you, Deanna. Such a fun day. Bye, Ya Devi. Take care. See you tomorrow, Deanna. Oh, she is really special. But it was so cool that she came in right before we did our first movement thing. I was like, wow, she's tuned in. She knows something fun's about to happen.
She's going to be camping on the coast while I'm doing this. She gave me permission, and I said, "Can I have permission to go to my brother's house, or do I have to do it outside?" And she's like, "Fine."
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. And I want to go camping on the coast. That sounds so fun.
It's really beautiful. She wants to be. Who knows if it'll happen? You know, she's only 8, but she loves to be a marine biologist. So we make a trip out here to the coast every year to watch the whales.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. Well, maybe she'll end up out here in Hawaii with us.
That's my hope. That's my hope. We'll see. I have to convince her dad that coming out there is the next thing.
Wow. Oh, wow, cool. I should say stuff like that more often.
Yeah, I have a job offer in Hilo.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and did you already come out here? Are you coming out here soon? Hey, Judy. See you tomorrow. Great to see you.
We might come out around Thanksgiving.
Wow, that is so cool. Well, I know that you asked about staying here, and that's tricky with families and stuff, but it would be cool to meet you.
Yeah, it would be.
Yay.
So I'll definitely see you tomorrow.
Great. Have a good night.